What you do in your 20s determines who you are in your 30s and your 40s.
Yeah, how are you feeling energy-wise then? Because you just did two like church services. You just did a revival night.
I'm pumped, bro. I love this stuff. You know, like are we rolling? Is this?
Yeah,
I've never known to take
let's
you
just keep going.
seriously. You're just so like well put together all the time.
Wow.
No, I'm good. I love, you know, when you do something that energizes you, even if it has a high output.
Yeah.
You're just like, you're pumped. So I'll probably crash tonight
Cool.
in the bed.
Like, is there ever moments where you're like just about to step up and you're like, flip, I'm feeling it right now?
100%.
Yeah?
100%. I remember I was preaching in Singapore. I think I preached like 8 times over 4 days.
Bruh.
So it's just back to back to back. And I was just fully pooped and considering like doing some dark things like injecting Red Bull or like whatever I needed to do to get me going. Nah, it's good. I love it, dude.
Yeah, wow. That's actually insane, because I do often wonder that, like, with people, because I think that there's the side of spirit just absolutely energizing you and keeping you going, and then going, okay, I wonder, because that's a high rate of just pouring out into people. So it's like, all right, what's the practices that you put in so that you can actually maintain that and really do what God's called you to do? So that's actually just ridiculous, the rate that you did 8 in 4 days.
Oh, bro, but it's like, I don't know. We're not heroes. Like, I think about guys that flip and run Ironmans or the crazy things people are doing these days because run clubs are forcing them to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's doing marathons. Everyone's doing Ironmans. Everyone's doing, what's the next level up from that? Ultra something. It's ridiculous, stupid, and I just think those guys are gnarly. I'm just speaking a few times. I'm all good. It's chill. It's not think we're too crazy. There's
Well,
people,
you do your 100 push-ups a day as well. Is that still a thing that you're running with?
It's the thing, bro. So context on that run, right? All these people who know that I do this, it's so funny. They're like, "You still doing the push-up thing?" And I'm like, "It's just life now." I heard someone say this, right? If someone's trying to quit smoking, and that's maybe a friend who's keeping them accountable or something, and it's like, oh, like 5 days no cigarettes, 10 days no cigarette, 20. Like a good friend should actually then ask, why are you counting? Like if this is this is who you are now. When we're trying to get rid of an old habit, we'll often count the days we've gone without that thing or the days we haven't done that thing. Or we're trying to bring in a new habit, we'll count the days we've been doing the good thing for.
Yeah.
But habits form our life. And if we want to create a habit that is not to tick a box, but it's just because it improves us, like why do we even count? It's just a part
Except
of my
for
life.
the 100 that you're getting to.
Yeah, or whatever it is.
Or you're like, 200, 700, I don't know.
Honestly,
I just
have a
keep
goal.
going.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Practically, what does that look like? Do you smash them all at once?
All right, we're going into all right. I love this.
I'm actually really curious. Okay, so I asked this.
I'm only going to answer the question if you can do 100 push-ups on this table for the podcast. No.
Oh my goodness. So I do want to say I'm doing this for completely selfish reasons right now, because I saw your post like a year ago. I'm like, Flippy, I'm going to join the team.
Wait,
and I did like
on.
20 push-ups 3 days in a row, and then that's
right.
done.
It's not about the number, it's about the habit. Context on this. The Lord called us down to Melbourne. We're doing ministry in Melbourne. I'm pastoring down there.
Yeah.
Lockdown hits. All right. We all get COVID lockdown, but Melbourne was like neck level. All right. So anyway, I'm in this lockdown. First time we're like, what's this working from home business? I can't leave my house. Like keeping 1.5 from my wife. I'm kidding. We made a baby in COVID, so we definitely didn't keep 1.5. Can I say that on this podcast?
Yeah, go for it. It's young adults, so
anyway, podcast was good for that.
Yeah.
But not podcast. Sorry, the lockdown was good for that. Made a child. But during lockdown, like all of my habits went out the window. Man, I was staying in my pajamas all day.
Beautiful.
On Zoom calls sometimes for 13 hours in a day, which was just so mentally draining. And I just felt like this just lump of turd. Like I just felt like, and probably so many people felt that. COVID in lockdown, you're just like no ambition, no drive. And I was like, nah, I'm not okay with this. I need to sort of like kick back into gear, like, get my David Goggins sort of vibe happening. And anyway, I was doing all this research, which I think a lot of millennials do, a lot of people do, right? We get obsessed with research and like, how do I get myself out of this slump? How do I do this? You know? And I realized motivation should never be the thing we aim for.
Yeah.
Habit formation is more important than motivation.
Yeah, wow.
Let me say that again for the clip. Habit formation is more important than motivation. So I was like, all right. So I started researching about habit formation. I was attending online seminars, reading books, watching YouTube videos, doing everything I could. And then I did what most people do. I was so full of research and I was like, oh, next subject, like ice baths.
Yeah.
Change subject. And I thought, no, what? Let's put into practice all the things that I've learned. And I'll just pick one habit. So I thought, challenge myself a little bit. I'll do 100 push-ups every day. And so I just started doing 100 push-ups and just haven't stopped.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
it's simple. Like that's it in a nutshell. There's a lot more we can go into, but that's it.
And I feel like because we'll get into like the main topic in a moment, but I feel like a lot of your life is based off of things that are very surprisingly simple and yet have impacts that people would completely underestimate unless if they saw you, like the results that you get out of your life.
Yeah. Well, I think something we forget is life compounds. In the investing world, the financial advisors talk about the effect of compounding is your best friend. Compounding is your best friend. If you invest now and you just chip away, you throw $1,000 every month into this investment, whatever it is, right? Over time, that compounding effect is going to be your best friend. So the earlier you get in the game, the better. It's like that good old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The next best time is today.
Yeah.
So I sort of took that mindset and just went, I really want to learn about myself and habit formation. So I just said, I'll do 100 push-ups. And I don't want to sound like I'm overstating here, but honestly, this little challenge thing that I did of 100 push-ups, which was now 4 years ago. So someone do the math on that. I don't know, 4 years of days times 100 something. It's a number. It's a number.
Yeah.
But that has taught me more about myself and my internal drivers and how I work than probably anything else that I've really applied myself to. Which sounds crazy, but it's actually very true.
And I guess that makes sense because it's such an endurance thing that you, especially the first few weeks, I'm sure you would have had to have gone through.
Yeah. The start is always the hardest. But again, you compound and you build up and then you go, I've been going for this long. If I throw the towel in now, like that was all for nothing in a way. Like at least that's what I tricked myself to believe. But yeah, through this habit formation, I've really learnt, right? Lots of people in their 20s, especially in their 20s, that's our like, let's go change the world. Let's go kill this thing. Let's go make this happen.
Yeah.
A lot of people in their 20s are full of such hope.
Yeah.
But I've come to realize you can hope for anything, right? You can hope for a new car. You can hope for, I'm not talking about you here, but someone could hope for a boyfriend, for a girlfriend, or whatever it is. We can have these big hopes. And hope's good. We should always have hope in life. But hope alone won't change your life. Habits will change your life. So that's a big thing I've learned.
And I think I'll give context. I know we're pretty much diving straight into it at the moment. I was like aiming for like banter, but I feel like a lot of our conversations is just like straight into the
How
topics.
you going? Yeah, let's get to this anyway.
Yeah. I don't care about anything else. But
By the way, the shirt's epic.
Dude, this is my
it from?
wife's. So
Even better.
Liana got this for her birthday online somewhere, and when it finally came in, she got like an extra large men's, which I don't know why she got it, but I'm so grateful.
It's that boyfriend vibe, just like that oversized hoodie. Chicks,
and I had to tell her that. I was like, honey, you steal my stuff all the time.
That's marriage.
And I've never said anything. And I'm going to continue to not say anything. However, for this one jumper, I just want you to know I'm going to steal it all the time.
Fair enough.
So it's incredible.
It's epic, bro. I love it.
Yeah, it's very cost effective, not having to get two.
Yeah, I'll give you my home address. Just
I'm sure she'll be fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It will just be the communal jumper. Harry, do you want this jumper every now and then?
Yeah.
Great. Now. Takes my shirt off during a pod.
That wouldn't be very Christian-like.
That would get some views though.
Nudity, not good.
You might get a little E next to the title.
Yeah, you'll get no more ad revenue on YouTube. Anyway, we're going.
Dang, all about $0. Yeah, way off.
Saying, something can go viral and you still don't get money for it. It's legit. You
Okay,
think you get money from things and you don't.
I want to actually bring this up. So, okay, the reason why I'm really excited to have you on today, and we've, again, already sort of started.
Or is the podcast
Yeah,
started?
I think we have. We've been rolling. Please tell me. Great. So we're talking about, how to crush your 20s. You sort of alluded to that just before. And the reason why I wanted to have you on is, well, first, you just turned 30, right, a few months ago. Hey.
I'm officially halfway.
Wow, that's very morbid.
To 60, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Great. But within your 20s, I feel like you just ticked a lot of boxes for what people dream their 20s would be like. To give kind of a highlight reel of it is like you did a lot of travel. You got to study abroad.
Yep.
You got to speak in several nations. You've been able to see God move in so many amazing ways, but both within a church ministry context, but also within your personal life. Mm-hmm. You have gone viral a few times, including getting Siri to preach to your church. You've discovered an alien on a beach.
Oh, that's a story. Anyway,
by so many standards,
many random things.
And that's just the incredible thing is that's just your 20s.
Yeah.
Like that feels like a whole lifetime of stories that people have been able to build up, and you've been able to just fit that within a decade. And I think you don't even have to be within church world or a minister or a pastor to look at your life and go, man, this dude is like crushing it. This guy has...
I wouldn't say that, but I appreciate it. I know what you're saying. I wouldn't say it, but I appreciate it.
Well, nonetheless, I think people can see in your life and go, all right, I want some of that. Yeah. So that's really the big overall topic I wanted to talk about. And we kind of already starting to get a sense of it is like, Alex 10, how did you crush your 20s?
What a question. What a loaded question. I don't know if I crushed my 20s. What even is crushing your 20s? Or depends on your definition of success. But I had a lot of fun in my 20s. And I had a lot of fun in those teenage years post-school leading into 20s. Funnest years of my life, I reckon. Now, it's a different type of fun, raising a family. But man, 20s are the best. 20s are so good because what you do in your 20s determines who you are in your 30s and your 40s. And I'm going to like just fully take us on like a negative, deep tangent here. But as a pastor now, like it's a real honor and a privilege of mine to walk alongside people from all walks of life. And in the space I'm in and the doors that God's opening, I'm able to meet lots of different people. And I'm meeting people who... just fresh come out of jail. I'm meeting people who've had meth addictions. I'm meeting people who are homeless. I'm journeying with people trying to enter into they're going through divorce and on their second, third marriage. I'm journeying with people in their 60s, all these different things. And a common theme through all these different people that I really see as a privilege to journey alongside as a pastor is I see that what you do in your 20s is literally a major determining factor for the trajectory of your life. School is school. Like, who someone is in school doesn't set them up forever, right? People can change drastically out of school, but your 20s is crucial. That's a crucial decade of your life.
Yeah, and I feel like again, I keep on coming back to it, but I feel like if this is just a taster for it, what you see for the rest of your life is quite astronomical with the way that you set up those specific habits and those specific mindsets within your 20s to then continue into your 30s.
Well, I mean, yeah. I don't want to take on board all of that. You're setting me up like I've got to do something epic now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like saying it in a certain way, and then you're like, you have to answer in a way out of pride.
No. Anyway, praise God. God's done a lot of great things, but by no means do I think I've crushed it.
Sure.
It all depends on someone's definition, but I think God opens doors for you. You work hard still. God opens doors. There's favor, and then also like. Yeah, you take risks. Your best time to take the biggest risks of your life is when you have the least responsibility. Yeah. Like, can I just go on a little tangent of like a pet peeve right now? Can you give me permission?
Go for it, please.
I'm doing it. All right. All of you in your 20s, buckle up. No, so a pet peeve of mine at the moment, I'm just going to go there, is people in their 20s trying to do less. I think in your 20s, you should do significantly more. I'm talking if you don't have a spouse, if you don't have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, you don't have a husband or wife, you don't have children, or you're not in full-time employment yet, this is your best time to just take massive risk. Like, if God calls you to do something, just fully go all out. And that advice would never change for someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s. But particularly in your 20s, when there's no strings attached holding you down, follow the call of God. Like, go all out. Try start a business. Have a crack at that. Do some travel. Experience different nations. Like, give everything to your local church. Serve your heart out. Like start new things. I just think when I come across these 20-year-olds in mid-20s, and they're like, oh man, yeah, my part-time job here, it's a bit hectic and it's a bit stressful, and I'm trying to drop back to 2 days a week so I can just have more time to lay on the beach. I'm like, what sort of life are you setting up for your 30s? But also, particularly, I'm going to talk to the men for a second. Like, who's attracted to that? Let's be honest. What female is coming across a man who's like just pulling back, doing less? As a man, we're meant to be the leaders in the relationship. We're meant to also be a provider. So you should set yourself up spiritually, financially, physically, like get yourself built and set up so you can provide for a future wife and future children, because that's the role of a biblical man is to provide. Anyway, that is like a side tangent rant. Probably not what we want to go into, but I'm just.
I'll be honest. A couple of episodes we got into it on pretty much that topic. We called it "When You're Too Tired for Revival."
Yeah,
and I think your input is fantastic with that. You definitely communicated it better than I feel we did at the time. That was great.
Anyway, let's go back to what the podcast is about. That was my side rant to young males in their mid-20s. Do more, trust God more, take more risks, and step out in obedience. Sorry, we'll come back to the podcast now.
Well, yeah, I remember even when my wife and I were expecting our first child, even in that moment, because we were kind of having that mindset of, okay, I guess we have to become safe now. And I don't think you even realized it, but we're having a catch up, and one thing you brought up was like, because you had a honeymoon baby, is that right? Or like very close after you got married?
Hey, this guy pointing fingers.
I'm just using your wording, I think.
We had our first child 18 months into marriage.
Oh, okay. So like fairly early on, you're like still...
Early.
Early 20s, rather.
Like, oh, this is happening.
This is happening, yeah. And I think we were pretty close. We were within like 2 years or so of being married. And we were starting to kind of adopt that mindset. And then you sort of challenged us on it immediately of going, dude, raising kids in your early 20s is the best thing in the world, because you still get to take risks and you can just bring them along the journey with it.
Absolutely. You're so young. Like, you've got your 20s, you've got enough time to like fail 5 times and then like start something in your 30s. I mean, there's how many entrepreneurs and these big guys and like really successful people do we look to that literally didn't have their big break until they were 30s, 40s, some people even later.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a tangent here and say something that I probably need to be fact checked on, but I'm pretty sure Colonel Sanders, like greatest GOAT of all time, KFC, right? Like, he didn't crack the code until he was like in his 50s, I believe. That should motivate someone.
To find another chicken code.
Yeah, like that's revival right there. And I'm like tangenting us. I'm derailing this podcast.
No, this is perfect. This is what we want. Because I think, it's those little side thoughts that is like so much of the real gold is found within it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that then, so if you were to say to someone who was in their 20s and you keep on dropping gold with it, okay, these are the disciplines, these are the things I would recommend you really looking at for you to set yourself up for success, what would those specific disciplines be then?
I think 5 habits everyone needs to commit to in their 20s is number 1, dedicate to your daily encounter with the Lord. Number 2, love to learn, not just formally, but personally love to learn. Number 3, commit to church community.
Yeah.
Number 4, selflessly serve. It's not about you. Selflessly serve. And number 5, pursue purity. Those are the 5 key habits I think everyone needs to master and nail and at least just commit to in their 20s, and we can unpack those.
Could you, maybe break through or break down like 2 or 3 of those specifically?
Yeah.
Especially any ones that you feel is needed right now.
For sure. The reason why I think I'm so like gnarly on habits is because I had a realization through that 100 push-up challenge that I did and all of that our lives are not the accumulation of what we do occasionally. Our lives are the accumulation of what we do daily. And like everything that we do in life, it's mostly a habit. I'm pretty sure I've seen this research that about 40% of your daily actions are not decisions, they're habits.
Wow.
So you think you're making decisions, but you drive the same way from home to work. You drive the same way from work to home. You probably drink the same sort of coffee every day. You probably roughly choose the similar clothes if it's a Sunday or if it's a Thursday. You like most of our life and how you wind down at night, what you do before you go to sleep, what you do when you first wake up, what's the first thing you reach for. They're not actually choices because these choices were made a long time ago. They're habits now. So much of what we do is habits. And something that I've learned through this habit formation journey is that consistency always beats intensity. So we want intense things as just people. We want the craziest, the grandest, the most on that end of the scale. We want like these crazy, intense experiences or whatever it is. But what will change our life more is not small intensities, but consistencies, doing these things daily.
So how do you then differentiate that? Because you're talking about experimenting as well.
Yeah.
How your 20s is the perfect time to just try things out. How do you differentiate experimenting, trying new things out, and then having habits and things that are locked in forever? Or maybe another way you can maybe put it is, what's the difference between experimenting and being flaky?
Yeah, awesome. I think take risk on like big ideas, big projects, big trips, big God adventures. Take those sort of risks. You know what I mean? But the undertone of all that, build habits into your life that set you up for success. Become financially literate. Learn about your finances. Learn what's going into where your soup is going. Like just, unfun stuff like that. Learn how your body works. Learn what type of body you are. Learn how to get fit. Learn how to keep yourself healthy.
Yeah.
Learn your rhythms with the Lord. Learn what sort of learner are you? Are you an auditory learner? Are you a visual learner? Are you an old school, like sit down and listen to like seminary hours of teaching, or do you need things in bite size? How do you learn best? And then how can you tailor your learning towards you from a Christian theology point of view? All these different things. So unpacking some of these habits that I said, the 5 habits: dedicate to a daily encounter, love to learn, commit to church community, selflessly serve, and pursue purity. Number 1, dedicate to your daily encounter. If there's one thing I've learned now in my 30s, in Christian life, in this faith journey we're on, is conferences are great, crazy church services are great, wild prophetic words are awesome. I love all of these things, right? But the one thing that's going to keep our faith going, the one thing that's going to keep that fire burning, is dedicating to a daily encounter with Jesus. That looks like sitting down alone. That looks like making time in your calendar. It's an important appointment that you don't skip. And it looks like meeting with Jesus, prayer, worship, word, prayer, a bit more prayer. Like that's what it looks like. Forming that habit will help you through every season you go through. You'll never lose forming the habit of dedicating to a daily encounter with the Lord. Yeah.
And out of all of these habits that you've outlined, 3 of them, I think, at least 2 of them are very God-centric. And this is something that I find very fascinating, is trying to measure success based off of God's standards and then what maybe our internal standards are. And this is something I've really noticed within the Gold Coast as well, especially. There is like such an obsession with success. And I'd even love for you to really speak into this specifically. I see a lot of 23-year-old millionaires on the Gold Coast. Like it is crazy the levels.
You see them in real life or you see them on Instagram? Because I don't know which one's real,
Well, okay, at least the perception is that they exist and that they are here. And so they will then sell you their course and they will do all of these things and tell you
a course.
All the ways that you need to live your life.
Yeah.
And so what can be so tempting is to pursue habits like what you've just outlined, and then you get to 25 and you're like, man, this guy on my phone, he's 3 years younger than me and he's crushing it and he is definitely not following God. So maybe he's actually onto something and I've got this all wrong. Where do you think we can sort of reconcile that in ourselves?
Well, scripture says, right, the rain falls on the righteous and the unrighteous. Who said that non-Christians can't make bank? Who said that non-Christians can't have what the world defines as success? They absolutely can. But is that what success is? I think an important question people really need to sit down by themselves and take some time to think out is, what am I aiming for in life? What is my definition of success? Because if you keep like this forever redefining what success is by what you see in other people and say, I want that, I want that, I want that, you'll never actually have a true north that you aim to. So I think it's so important people need to sit down and ask themselves, what's my definition of success? And I've done this for myself. And my definition of success is to obey God and love people well.
Wow.
That's it. Obey God and love people well.
So there's like no monetary measures that you use, no like really worldly measures.
Money comes and goes. We came into this earth with nothing, no Bitcoin, no Yeezys, no, fear of God clothes on. We came into this earth butt naked and we're going to go back into the ground exactly the same way. Yes, we want to leave. It's in Proverbs, it says a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children, his children's children. We want to do that. But in how I go about my interactions with other humans and how I live my day-to-day life, my definition of success, obey what God says and love people well. At the end of my life, this is something a little bit morbid, but I don't think we think about enough. What do we want to be said at our funeral? Like, how do we want to be remembered? I remember many years ago, I went to a funeral of an old rugby coach of mine. He was a really great man, and he was coached me for many years. And at his funeral, my father got up to facilitate the funeral. And he gave this analogy that I'll never forget. He said, at the end of our life, you and me, one day, we're going to pass away. We're going to be buried in the ground. And there's going to be a tombstone above our burial site. And it's going to say our entry date, when we entered the world, dash expiry date. Entry date, dash expiry date. And he asked the question, what's that dash going to stand for?
Wow.
Does that dash represent how much money you made? How many friends you have? How many houses you have? Or how many cars you have? How many followers you have? What does that dash represent? And at the end of it, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, and it's something we do not take the time to think about enough, the dash on our tombstone stands for the quality of our relationship with God and the quality of our relationship with others. At the end of the day, those are the two most important indicators for success, in my opinion.
And the level of clarity that you found in that is astounding, because you just outlined your true north or your life's purpose, or however way you want to word it, within just a few words. It wasn't like a paragraph. You didn't give an essay on what your life is all going to be about. And yeah, that clarity bleeds out into so much of what we see in your life. I love as well with that specifically, it doesn't require the fads or the things that come and go within culture for it to still be true. Like right now, I'm very aware we're in a cost of living crisis. We're in a rental crisis. We've got inflation. Like, people are thinking about monetary side of their finances constantly because there is real genuine stress.
There's reason to.
And like, it's fair enough, but the temptation then can be to become that your true north and go, well, no, that's never been the true north. Let's come back to
things
what
can
God's
be a
put me here
focus for now. Like when you're in uni, like it should be a goal of yours, maybe a micro element of success. You know, finish well, get a PhD, get your HDs, get a great GTAR. What's that thing called?
I'm like,
What's the thing
I
called
got
when
my
you
OP
finish uni?
and then I forgot about it.
ATAR, whatever
ATAR.
it is, you know, to get into med school or
Did
whatever.
you get an ATAR? I don't know how old you are, actually. I'll be honest.
So whatever it is, like that can be a goal
degree
of yours.
Yeah.
But if your true north that you're going to set for your life is like, get a great ATAR to get this thing. So when you get it, then what?
Yeah.
Or if your goal is like, get a wife, Get what? Then what? Get a house. Like, I've done those things. Like, I've got a wife now. One, amazing.
Yeah.
Carly, love her. We met in grade 3, got married when we were 23, love of my life. I've got kids, I've got a house. We got all these things, but there were micro goals, but my true north stays the same. It rides the time of culture, it rides the time of trends, and it rides the time of what's in now and what's out tomorrow. I want to obey God. That means everything of what he says, what he instructs, all his commands. I want to be a disciple of Jesus. I want to follow Jesus well. And then as a result, when you're close to the heart of God, you're close to the things that's close to the heart of God. And that's always people. I just want to love people well. Like, I know I'm like really oversimplifying things in this podcast, but I think that's what we need to do is just let's take a practical handle out of this podcast. I think anyone listening to this would only benefit from taking 1 hour out of their next week to sit down by themselves, blank piece of paper, pen, a Word document, keyboard, whatever it is, how they get their thoughts out, whiteboard, and go, what's my true north in life? Where am I going? What do I want to be said at my funeral? How do I want to be remembered? What really matters? Simplify that into under 7 words. That's what the research says. If you can't sum things up in under 7 words, you're going to like just ramble all the time. It won't make sense and it won't be stuck with you. Get it under 7 words and write that somewhere. Put it on your screensaver. Put it in your bedroom. I wouldn't say get a tattoo of it, but because it might change. But, set that trajectory for you and let it come from the Word of God. The Word of God has stood the test of time. Let it come from there. Let Scripture speak to you. Let the Lord speak to you and make a decision. That's where I want to be in life, and align your actions, your habits, and your systems together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a pretty good way to land the plane of this conversation.
Yeah, I just feel like I've rambled so much. We've gone on about 16 different topics, including the Broncos. But I don't know. Hopefully there's some benefit.
No, this has been
so
phenomenal.
Much rambling, bro. We just went there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we will call it there. And thank you again for doing this, for being a part of this series that we're doing. And it is simple, but it is profound as well. The setup that you've created for your life. And I know that so many people are going to receive so much value out of that. And I'm excited to see how people's lives, maybe not next week, maybe not next year, but over the decades, are going to be radically changed because of what they've heard in this.
That's awesome. I reckon another practical, I just love getting super practical, right? When you hear preachers, when you hear communicators, podcasters, they usually talk in the clouds. It's because what we do, we love to theorize, we love to like throw ideas up to the roof. But I think more importantly, let's get down to the dirt. So what does this mean tomorrow? What does this mean today? Like, how do I implement this? It's clouds and dirt. Another dirt takeaway I'd probably add to this.
Dirt takeaway.
Yep. Aside from that, sitting down and nutting that out and writing that down, is share it with someone.
Wow.
And get it beyond your own little sphere of thinking, and just say, hey, this is sort of like a true north. I've set, this is my definition of success. What do you think about it?
Wow.
Or wherever this thing's posted, message it to us. Like, I would love to read people's, what's their life goal? What's their definition of success? I'd love to read some of that stuff. That would be super inspiring.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. I love that.
So DM this guy.
Boom, hit me up. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you again.
Thank you, bro. I don't know if this was helpful, but I hope it's helpful.
This has been incredible. This has been everything we're hoping for and more. So thank you again.
No worries. Praise God. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Oh, nearly left me hanging.
Boom.
Cheers.